Hello, welcome back to the YouTube channel. I am Nick from Australia. Welcome to the Canberra Raiders 2020 season review. I hope everyone's doing well on this Monday night. It is currently 7:50 p.m. Monday night, November 23rd, 2020. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. We are not far off 1,000 subscribers. The channel is going very well at the moment, and I appreciate everyone that has taken the time out of their day and taking the time out of their day or night and their busy schedules to sit down and watch my videos. So thank you for everyone who has subscribed. I appreciate the support. Let's get into it, guys. The Canberra Raiders 2020 season review. They finished in 5th position this year. They just missed out on the top 4 position. I thought they had a really good season, making it to the preliminary final, just short of the grand final. And let's go for the season. So obviously, we'll go through the draw and how that went in the regular season. And in round 1, they started off against the Gold Coast down there in Canberra. They were too good for the Gold Coast in that one, winning that game 24 points to 6, a pretty comfortable win for the Raiders in that one. Then they took on the Warriors up at Seabus Super Stadium. It was the first game. It was the first game in the first round ever where they had no fans allowed in, and they went up to the Gold Coast to play the Warriors, and they won that game 20 points to 6, a pretty easy win there. And then obviously the 6-week lockdown, the coronavirus lockdown, where there was no rugby league played at all, which was a shame. Then when they returned, they took on the Melbourne Storm, which was always going to be a tough game, and they defeated the Melbourne Storm 22 points to 6. That was the game where the halfback from England, from Wigan, George Williams, pretty much said, right, I'm no dud player, I'm legit, I'm the real deal, and I'm going to take this team as far as I can take them. And George Williams certainly did that against the Melbourne Storm, outplayed them, and that was the game where George Williams pretty much made his mark in the NRL. And Canberra at this point, they're 3-0 to start the year. They're probably, I think I remember at the time, I think they were premiership favourites at the time, along with the Roosters, so they were doing very well at the start of the year, the Raiders. Then they had one of the most disappointing losses of the season where they got beat by Newcastle, 34 points to 18. Then they bounced back against the West Tigers, winning that one 14 points to 6. I remember that game well. I live streamed that game on YouTube. You can probably find that on my channel somewhere. I remember that game. That was a pretty tough game where they beat the Tigers. Then they lost to the Seagulls in what was a fairly good game. Manly lost a lot of injuries in that game. Manly won that game on guts. Canberra, they weren't good enough on the day against the Seagulls. They blew a few opportunities in that one, so that was a loss. That obviously sucked for them. Then they were beaten by Parramatta, 25 points to 24, and what was a fantastic Saturday night game. Again, it was the second week in a row where they lost to a side. They lost players. I mean, Parramatta lost Mitchell Moses in that game, and Canberra still went on to lose that game. So that was 2 weeks in a row where they lost to two sides. They lost some pretty big players due to injury. So that was a couple of disappointing weeks for the Raiders. Then they bounced back against the Dragons there, 22 points to 16. They held on to win that one, so that was good for them to win that. Then they took on the Melbourne Storm. They were defeated in that game, 20 points to 14. It was a pretty good game. I remember the game. I think it was a Saturday night game. Melbourne was just a little bit too good for them in that one. Then they took on the Roosters in the grand final rematch, and they beat the Roosters 24 points to 20 in what was one of the best games of the NRL season. They did well to win that one, so good on the Raiders for getting payback from the 6 again from the grand final. Then they took on South Sydney in a real tough game. They beat them 18 points to 12. Then they went up to Townsville and they played like shit against the Cowboys. Both teams played shit in that game. I remember it well. The Raiders ended up winning that one in a tight one. Then they were outplayed against the Penrith Panthers, 28 points to 12. And then they absolutely thrashed Brisbane 36-8. Then they smashed the Gold Coast 36 to 16. Then they defeated the Bulldogs 34-20 after being down at half-time. Then they lost to the Roosters 18-6. Then they smashed the Dragons 37-8. Too good for the Warriors, 26 points to 14. And then they rested pretty much the whole team the last round against Cronulla, and they won that game 38-28. And then in the fight, excuse me, I got the fucking hiccups. In the finals, they defeated Cronulla 32-20 in the elimination final at Canberra Stadium, or GIO Stadium, however you want to put it. Then they knocked off the Roosters in one of the best games I've seen all year, 22 points to 18. And then they got beat in the preliminary final against the Melbourne Storm, 30 points to 10, which I was at, by the way. If you haven't seen the vlog, Melbourne versus Canberra, I recommend go and check it out. But, overall, I thought the Raiders did very well this year. They lost Josh Hodgson due to injury, and it really, at the time, when Hodgson got injured, he was out for the season. We all put a line for the Raiders. I think I said that they're done for the year. They had no chance. And they ended up doing very well. They got to the preliminary final from 5th position, which is a very good effort because when you miss out on the top 4, it's very hard to win the premiership or even get close to the premiership. So for a team to lose in the grand final in 2019 to the Roosters, to bounce back the next year, lose your best player in Josh Hodgson, he organises the match, he organises the way they play, and he's a great leader, Josh Hodgson. He was a huge loss, and for them to still finish in 5th position, make it all the way to the preliminary final, shows that the Canberra Raiders mentality is very strong, and they are a team that will not go down wandering. So, most teams would have just threw the queue in the rack and probably gone out the first week of the finals. So, I thought Canberra's season was definitely a success. To lose probably your best player in Hodgson and to make it to a prelim is a phenomenal effort, and it just shows how mentally tough and how mentally strong they are. And I think Ricky Stewart deserves a bit of praise for it as well. Ricky Stewart's been with the Raiders for about 6 or 7 years now. I think he came back to coach the Raiders in 2014, and ever since then, it's been successful. I know the first 2 years were a bit of a struggle, but once he got the team he wanted together, they just missed out in the grand final, 2016. Then they had a couple of disappointing years. And in the last 2 years or so, Ricky Stewart's finally found the team that he wanted, and he's got the players that he needs, and now it's up to the players on how they go in the seasons that they all play together. But overall, I thought they had a good season, the Raiders. Now, having a look at some of their best wins and some of their best losses, I'd say their best win was the one against the Storm, where they beat them 22 points to 6. It is very, very rare that a team can bash Melbourne like that and beat them 22-6. So, in my opinion, that was their best victory of the season. I guess another one would be probably the one against the Roosters in the grand final rematch, where they won that one 24 points to 20. Another game where I thought they were really good, that probably deserves to be mentioned, is probably the one where they beat the Rabbitohs beat the Rabbitohs 18-12. When you beat a team like the Roosters in Sydney, and then you got to play another quality team in South Sydney the next week, it is not easy to do that. I mean, if you have a draw or a fixture of Roosters, Storm, or whoever it is in like 2 or 3 week period, it's very hard to win all those games. So, for the Raiders to play Melbourne, Roosters, Rabbitohs 3 weeks straight, and to win 2 out of 3 of them is a pretty good effort. And they absolutely they beat the Roosters and the Rabbitohs back-to-back, which is a pretty good effort, considering they're always at the top of the ladder, always in the top 4, always in the top 6. So that's a good effort to do that. Now let's have a look at their worst loss of the season. I'd say there's probably 2 of them that stand out for mine. Probably the loss against Newcastle in round 4. That was a bit disappointing. And the other one I would say was probably the game against the Parramatta Eels, where they lost that game 25-24. Parramatta lost Mitchell Moses, and it was pretty much the Dylan Brown and Clint Gutherson show, so that was a bit disappointing to lose that. And another game where I thought they were disappointing was probably the one against, who was it? The Panthers. And they got beaten that one 28-12. That was a game where I thought they'd be up for it, and I thought they would really try and stop the Panthers' winning streak, but they unfortunately weren't able to win that one. But, having a look at some of their good players this year, guys, I thought Jack Whiten was without a doubt their best player. I thought he was absolutely outstanding. I thought Josh Papali was quite good. I thought Charles Nickel-Klokstad played very well. I thought George Williams was absolutely terrific. Probably the best halfback signing of the season by far. Probably the second best buy of the year, because I know Api Koroisau is probably the buy of the year, but George Williams is probably a close second. He was absolutely magnificent this year. I thought Ryan Sutton played well. I thought Elliot Whitehead was terrific all year. Hudson Young looked pretty well, looked pretty good. Joseph Tarpany was absolutely outstanding. Who else is there here? A couple of the poor players, I thought Curtis Scott was really poor. Obviously, dramas going on with the whole police situation, which was always going to be a distraction. So we had a poor year. Jordan Rapana, I thought he was average at best. I'm not a big fan of Jordan Rapana. I think he's a grub. I don't believe he had a great season. I thought Jared Croker was a bit quiet. He was definitely off this year. He was nowhere near his best, so he needs to aim up a little bit. Jared Croker, he's a great player on his day. He needs to step up a little bit. I thought a player that I thought was really good for Canberra too was the hooker who filled in for Josh Hodgson, Tom Starling. Thought he was terrific as well, and I thought Dynamis Louis played quite well this year. He made his Origin debut. Thought he was terrific. Corey Horsburgh, obviously he got injured, so that was a shame. Josh Hodgson as well. But you can't really name any bad players from it. If I had to say the best and worst player, I'd say the best player was definitely Jack Whiten, and I'd say the worst player was probably Curtis Scott, but it's understandable why, because of what happened there. But, looking at this season, I thought it was a great year for the Raiders. If I had to give this season a rating out of 10, guys, I'd probably give the Raiders season a solid... Let's have a look here. So they finished 5th. They made it all the way to the preliminary final. They lost one of their best players in Josh Hodgson. I'd say their season was a very easy 8 out of 10. I thought they had a fantastic season, the Raiders. I think probably an 8 out of 10 for mine, the Raiders. I thought they were really good this year. The thing is too, what everyone needs to understand as well is when you lose a grand final, the next season it's very hard to get up again and try and get back to the grand final. Have a look over the years. So many teams have failed after losing a grand final. The Roosters in 2010, they lost the grand final to the Dragons. They didn't even make the 8 the next year. The Warriors in 2011, they lost the grand final to Manly that year. 2012, they didn't even play finals football. The Bulldogs in 2012, they lost to the Storm. They only just made the 8 in 2013. Who else? The Bulldogs in 2014, when they got beat by Souths. They only just got in there in 2015. Who else am I forgetting here? The Cowboys. They made the grand final in 2017. They were one of the favourites in 2018, and they ended up finishing, I think they finished in the bottom 4 somewhere. They had a shocker. So, it's very hard to back up again after losing a grand final. So, the Raiders' mentality, the Raiders' players, they're all mentally strong and mentally tough. And next year, when they get Josh Hodgson, look out. Because Canberra, they're going to be scary once again, I think. I think they're a genuine premiership contender again next year. I know they're losing Nick Kotrick. I know they're losing John Bateman. But look, Corey Harawira-Naera will slot straight in to second row and do a great job. If he doesn't do well, Corey Harawira-Naera, fucking Sideshow Bob is what I like to call him, then I'm sure Joseph Tarpany can do a good job at back row. And, they're losing Nick Kotrick, but they also get Bailey Simonson back. And they get Curtis Scott back from what happened with him this year. So they'll get some of their great players back. And the other question is Jack Whiten, is he the best 5'8" in the game? As you can see in the thumbnail, is Jack Whiten the best 5'8" in the game? I would say he is right now. I'd say he's one of the best players in the world. He is definitely a top 3 best player in the game. He won the Dally M this year, which I think he well deserved. 5'8" for the season, well deserved. Played State of Origin, should have been playing 5'8", we all know that. But best 5'8" in the game? I say yes. But you guys have to let me know about that in the comment section below. Do you think Jack Whiten is the best 5'8" in the game? I think he is. And there's not many other guys who go close to him. I think Munster and Walker probably go close to challenging Whiten for that. But Whiten, 2020, brilliant season. Well-deserved Dally M and well-deserved 5'8" for the year. But anyway, guys, that's going to wrap up the Canberra Raiders 2020 season review. If you enjoyed the video, make sure you guys go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate everyone who took the time out of their day or night to watch this video. Thank you guys so much for the support. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. We're getting close to 1,000 subscribers. Hope you guys enjoyed the Canberra Raiders review. I'm out of here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.